I should probably be ashamed to admit this, but if someone says the word Easter, despite the fact that I am a believer, one of the first things that comes to mind is a bunny and jelly beans and me running to a really sketchy Walmart at 11 o'clock at night because I forgot to get the grass stuff to put in. Listen, I'm not making fun of this. But I know that there are a lot of people who are like, don't believe in the bunny. That's not what Easter is about. Totally. But I also think if you let your kids believe in the Easter bunny, well, I just don't know of anyone later in life who decided to walk away from their faith because they once believed in a bunny. Even as Christians, though, it is so easy for our knee-jerk reaction to be worldly. Of course, we know ultimately that this is the pinnacle of his life. But of all the people in the world, what sets him apart? It's this, because if this part didn't happen, it was a lie. It was a charade. Our faith hinges on the fact that it's true. If there was never a cross, if there was never an empty tomb, if those are fiction, then the whole thing is. Now, genuinely, if I had to give my top 5 favorite stories in Scripture, this is one that I would use. Because after Jesus rose from the dead, he made these really cool decisions about how to show himself to people. One of those was that he showed up in a room where all the disciples were sitting. They see him, they know he is real, but there is one person missing, and it's Thomas. Spoiler alert, Jesus knew that Thomas wouldn't be there. And even though they're telling him, Thomas, he's alive, he came, Thomas is so stubborn. I don't know what that's like, but Thomas was very stubborn, and he said, despite what you are saying, unless I can see the holes of the nails and touch them and put my hand in his side, I will not believe. So after these 8 days, the disciples are sitting in a room again, but this time Thomas is with them. Jesus appears. He tells them, don't be afraid, have peace. And again, I don't know that anyone in the history of the world has ever said that the next 5 words were their favorite parts of Scripture, but I'm weird that way. I've never embroidered it on anything, but I still feel like it's very moving. There are 5 words. It says, then he said to Thomas. Can you imagine? This is the doubter. This is the one who didn't believe. This is the stubborn one. And the first person he talks to is Thomas. The entire gaze of heaven is on the one who doubted. And at that point, Jesus says, okay, go ahead and do the things that you said you had to do, which incidentally, Jesus knew, even though Thomas never told him. Because again, he's Jesus. So he stands in front of him and he says, okay, do the things that you needed to. We have no reason to believe that Thomas ever reached for Jesus, that he ever even physically moved toward him. I think that what happened was, like most of us, the musts disappeared. He saw enough of Jesus without having to do that. And the first thing we hear him say in response is, my Lord and my God. So many of us want to have our musts answered before we believe. But like Thomas, when we truly encounter the living God, when we see Jesus for who he is, and we realize our desperate need for him, the need to have those musts answered disappears. And at that point, we cry out in faith, my Lord and my God, and our life is changed forever. There is so much we could talk about this week. This is the pinnacle. This is the essential part of the story. If this doesn't take place, we are hopeless. So ultimately, this week is about hope. And I pray that as you study this week, that you will truly encounter the Messiah, that you would stare at the cross, that you would look into the empty tomb, that you would embrace this story like you never have before.